Hello, everyone, and welcome to Meticulous Talks on December 14th. I'm Chris, of course.
I'm Hifrock.
Happy holidays, Ithra.
Not yet.
Right, yeah, that's the sign off. Yeah, well, whatever. It struck me, as I guess we know, this is going to be the last stream of the year, probably. Almost certainly.
Definitely.
Um, I'll save that until the end. Uh, but, like, legitimately, I've been meaning to tell you, actually, been having some wonderful weather in Winnipeg lately. It's been very nice and cold.
ah, it's been getting chilly here. Like yesterday was -6, but it's all gonna be warm again next week.
Right.
So it's kind of swinging.
Yeah, we had some very nice -30 this week.
Oh, yeah, I should just move to Winnipeg.
Maybe you should. Well, so yeah. Funnily enough, it's that, and then like tomorrow, it is actually going to swing all the way up to positive.
Oh,
It's
well, that's disappointing.
disappointing. Yeah.
It's the worst when it from freezing cold to the positive because everything melts and then everything freezes again. It's ice everywhere.
Hmm.
That's like the worst kind of what could happen. So it should stay at a constant -15. That's my opinion.
That'd be nice. Yeah. Anyway, the stream isn't about the weather. Oh well, at least not about our weather. Funnily
Yeah, I
enough.
was about to say I'm sure some weather is involved.
Um, yeah, this stream is to talk about. I mean, I already made the announcement in Discord. A secret project, I guess, that is now coming out into the light. That's a new set that I made. I am making. I mean, yeah, I am making. Um, and basically, in this stream, I'll just kind of be giving you the basic ideas of what this means, what it is, why I did it, uh, what exactly it's going to be, and then we'll have a look at some cards. I am excited about all of them, but I managed to get down to just 10 to share.
That's less than 10%.
It is, but chances are by the time we get there, we'll have used up enough. And as oh, I guess I forgot there should be a fifth item on there, which is like the sort of roadmap of how we're gonna move forward from here. As we'll cover in that part, people will eventually. Maybe this is obvious to say. People will eventually see all the cards. So I want to hold back some juicy stuff for people to pull out of a sealed pool or something.
That's fair. But yes, I would be surprised if eventually people would not see all of the cards.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, there's more cards in the set, but you'll never see them.
Yeah. So this is probably going to be mostly me talking this stream, but obviously, Hithok, if you have questions or other things to say,
Yeah.
feel free to jump in.
Today I'm the audience.
You have some nice tea, help my voice out. But yeah, and of course, those in the chat, of course, also free to jump in with questions as you like. But yeah, start off with, I guess, a little bit of history. So two, well, 2.5 years ago, it was May 2021. I'm pretty sure was when I released my first custom set, the Great Game, and it was mostly just kind of a challenge to myself. Like it was, I don't know, for some reason, some silly idea came in my head. Like, you know what I should do? I should try to make a set. And it was mostly at that point just kind of to prove that that I finished it. Um, and yeah, it was finished and released, and it still exists. If you go to the Fan Card Creations channel, you can find a link to it, of course. Uh, it was fine. Like I was broadly happy with the designs that came out of it, but it was it was a ton of work. I was like super exhausted by the time I finished, and realistically, I didn't really finish. Like it only ever was just a spreadsheet of card text and mostly playtest names. Not much flavor text, no art, no. Most of the cards never even got traded up. Um, so I always kind of, despite the fact that I kind of finished per se, and there was something at least to look at, I always kind of felt like I'd left a lot on the table. Um, so there was still like, even though at the time I said, "Oh, I never want to do that again," um, I wanted to do it again. I wanted to do it right, I guess. And of course, another big thing that changed in the intervening time period between then and now is the whole AI art generation thing happened, which creates a bit of a realistic pathway for me to actually get 161 images for card art rather than you know uh, learning to draw myself or spending a lot of money to commission a lot of art.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a pretty big thing that sort of made me think. You know what? Maybe I should try again with something more sort of in my wheelhouse. And so I had for the last like 2 years or so a bunch of ideas kicking around. At one point, I was the ambition was actually to make a whole block of like one unicorn themed set and one Pegasus themed set and one Earth Pony themed set, and they would all come together into a block. That's almost certainly not going to happen. Um, Instead, I decided to take advantage of a piece of, well, basically of some of my work in another field. For those who don't know, in addition to doing this and the stream and such, I also am a fanfic writer. Um, and one of the bigger projects that I've been working on for the last realistically it's the whole time I've been in the fandom, so 12 years or so, is this big series of stories called, there it is on the screen, Sun and Moon. And I thought, okay, what if I take the characters and the plot points and sort of the locations and such from that, make a set around it. Then I don't have to worry, like, the flavoring should be a lot easier. Hopefully it'll spark some designs. For many of them, I already kind of have a broad idea in my head of what art's probably going to look like. It should speed up the stuff that I found boring and, honestly didn't even want to work on the first time around, which is the flavoring and the art design and stuff like that. So that is basically the story that got us here. Again, just to clarify, this set is totally my own construction. Sim had nothing to do with it. It's never going to be official, but hopefully it can be fun. And like, after I get it properly looking nice, just to some extent, maybe this will be a nice sort of like at the very least, I will have printouts of these cards, and I will have art of all my characters and my story and such. It'll be a nice artifact for me, if nothing else.
I think that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
But I mean, what does official even mean? Like, if people play it, sometimes,
Well,
like,
yeah, the cards will never be in the OCR, I guess is what I mean.
oh, sure.
Yeah. But, yeah, to the extent that, like, hopefully we'll have resources such that you could print these out, the same as you would for any other set. And, well, there would presumably be some, I assume Sim would require me to have some kind of mark on them to make sure that they're not confused for real cards. But yeah, if you wanted to play them, you can certainly play with them in TTS. You can play with them on your kitchen table if you wanted. That would be the goal and the plan.
Nice.
I kind of screwed up my order. I kind of already talked about all the stuff in the why build another set section. Yeah, sorry, already covered all this stuff. Okay. So the third section here is mostly going to be me talking about the core ideas of the story and the setting, and how they're going to translate over into the main, into the set itself. It's always, I guess, a bit interesting to try to tell stories using the medium of like a CCG, right? If I can think about some of the notable Magic sets that I know had stories attached to them, right? And like the story was there in the cards, but you had to like go to Wizards of the Coast's website to read the actual lore, right? To understand, strictly speaking, what happened, right?
Yeah.
So I guess in that sense, you're not going to get a proper view of what's happening in my story just from looking at my set. So I'm going to try to at least give a little bit of a idea to it. So perhaps it's well, I don't know what obvious per se, but from the title of the story, Sun and Moon, the basic idea is that it is pretty much a biography of Celestia and Luna, pretty much start to finish, from when they were just fillies to, well, the ending, which I haven't written yet, and let's just not talk about that. And so right now, that's covering the first 3 stories of what was probably going to be a 5-story series. The first one covering sort of childhood up until them becoming princesses. The second one covering the period up until Nightmare Moon. And the third one, which is still being written, covering kind of essentially Celestia's reaction to that and transitioning into the 1,000 years of relative peace that intervenes those events. So one of the things, and I already mentioned this to you, Hithrock, is that this means that there are cards that cover sort of time periods that are very, very distanced from each other. You've got some that are set during the period when Celestia and Luna are fillies. You've got some that are set in the period where they're young adults taking down Discord. You have some that are 300 years after that, during the Nightmare Moon thing. You've got some that take place... sorry, let me do the math here quickly. like 1,000 years before that, before Discord even showed up, before Equestria was a thing. And then because there's the frame story of Twilight writing the whole thing after it happened, there are some cards that are like 1,000 years in the future too of Twilight and her friends. So there's a lot of time distance. And I've thought about, like, I don't know, maybe using slightly different art styles to represent that on cards or something like that, or yeah, having notations in the flavor text or something like that. That's one thing.
That would be cool. And you can like look at the card and tell what time period it is from.
Perhaps, yeah. So yeah, the biggest theme of the stories is, as perhaps might be somewhat evident by that sort of big, long historical breadth, is the way that events from the past kind of shape events of the future and of the current stuff. There's this recurring motif of these big, important events from the past always kind of showing up and changing the story in the future. Like, so, for example, in this particular timeline, Discord ruled Equestria for 300 years, and in that time, like, vast amounts of knowledge about magic were lost, and so like that idea that, like, oh boy, we used to know how this worked, but then there was that period, and now nobody knows how Pegasus magic works anymore, or nobody knows how to cast like these really complicated unicorn spells and such. That kind of keeps coming up and keeps on being a theme in the story, kind of, as I say, over and over and over again, right? And the same thing for like that period at the end. Sorry, that period long, long, long ago in the past, even before Equestria, was the Unicorn Kingdom, a kingdom ruled by unicorns, and the way that nation ended with a sort of I shouldn't get into too many of the details, but yeah, the events that led up to the dissolution there also keep on resonating forward through the story over and over again. Yeah, so there's this broad theme of all these important events from the past that keep on impacting the future, and so that's the reason why the sort of main mechanic of the set is this concept of legendary cards and discovering legendary, whether they be legendary characters or legendary events or legendary artifacts or that sort of thing. And so, yeah, the basic explainer of that is that there are certain cards in the set that are, and we'll cover them once we get to talking about the cards, that are legendary, quote unquote. That's a trait that they have. And they have a special legend ability on them. And then, yeah, so the way that it works is you want those cards to be in your discard pile, and then you can play another card with the discover keyword. And when you do that, then you have to exhaust characters in play to get, sort of, let me make sure that I'm saying this right. You exhaust them for their power, right? 2 orange, etc. It's kind of like you're trying to meet a requirement for that legendary effect, but you're exhausting your characters in play to do it. And then, yeah, to meet whatever the cost on the legend ability is, and if you do that, then you get to banish the legendary card from your discard pile to activate its legendary ability, which is usually a very powerful kind of, you've done a lot of work to get this. It's something that's either going to last the whole game or be a really impactful one-turn thing or something like that. Like, that's certainly the idea from a game design perspective, is that there will be decks that are built around, yeah, your early game is trying to create the scenario or circumstances where you're able to do the discover, and then you do the discover, and now you're into your main strategy, I suppose. Way to say it. So that is the discover thing. Another major topic of the stories is that they're very much concerned with the intricacies of magic. As I mentioned, Pegasus magic comes up a fair bit. It's a fairly important topic in the second story, trying to basically a lot of characters are trying to figure out how it used to work, and how to do it again. Celestia spends a fair amount of time delving into the intricacies of unicorn magic, trying to figure out how to create better spells and that sort of thing. So the intricacies of how magic works and exactly what you can do with it are a major theme of the series. And so there's a lot of cards. I mean, first of all, that just generally expand on the magic restored keyword and use magic counters to do lots of other stuff, but also that kind of try to capture the flavor of what each of the tribes' magic is capable of in the set as well. So that's another kind of sub-theme, I suppose. Yeah, there's a lot of cards that deal with specific magic spells, or try to capture the flavor of what exactly all the tribes can do, and even capturing ideas that are only just barely starting to make their way into the main story, and that is the magic that other species have. Dragon magic. Just dragon magic for now, but I'll peek behind the curtain is that in this world, every species has their own magic. So, yeah.
Cool.
So there's that. The other thing, I suppose, is that, I guess, if you're used to the general tone of MLP, these stories are a little bit darker than that. There are wars fought, and there are characters die. It stays subdued. This isn't completely mature stuff. But it is it's a little bit more darker in tone than the usual stuff. I tried to keep that out of the set to the degree that I could, because I know that the CCG has its own very specific tone that it's shooting for. But I guess this is a disclaimer of sorts that there's some stuff in the set that's gonna, I guess, toe the line a little bit, in mentioning weaponry or conflict, armed conflict, or that sort of thing, I suppose. Yeah. Okay. I think that's the basics of it that I wanted to get to before we start looking at cards. And I might explain a little bit more as we go. One of the things that I'm a little disappointed in, maybe I'll add this, who knows, the tool that generates the playtest images doesn't add flavor text to the cards.
Because they're playtest images.
Well, yeah. For many of these cards, I have... I guess I didn't mention this. One of the things that makes this set kind of interesting is that a lot of the cards were top-down designs, which, as I said, I was basically starting with the character and working backwards. For many of them, I knew the flavor text before I knew the game text. More pieces of the story might come through as we talk about some of these cards. I guess the other thing to say before we go, this is probably obvious as well, given the name of the set and that it's me designing it. But there's going to be a lot of Celestia and Luna. They are the main characters. And so, probably a little bit more of them in there than you'd get in a usual set.
I mean, that's only fair.
Yeah. Okay. Was there anything else you wanted to, or thought I should cover before we do cards?
I think that was a very good overview.
Okay. So, yeah, we've got 10, as I say, 10 cards picked out. As I said, I'm excited for all the cards in the set, and you'll see all the cards in the set eventually. And there are definitely some really juicy ones that aren't in this initial look, but there's some pretty cool stuff in here too. So, we shall start with our orange dragon friend, Cullum the Farseer, Gemcrafter. Cost 3, 3 rec, 2 orange, power, magic restored. This is your first look at what a legend ability is going to look like. In sort of the final copy, this will look like a unity ability. It'll be legend and then 8 orange. As a reminder, you exhaust that amount of power to trigger the legend ability. In this case, it triggers the magic restored abilities of all your cards in play over again. So, I guess I'll finish it. When you play this card, search your deck for an artifact, reveal it, and put it into your hand. I don't know if you saw, Hithork, this is a change that I made from when I showed you the card originally. That legend ability.
I don't remember what the original was.
It was much worse than this.
So yeah, I guess also worth clarifying that you can only trigger legend abilities with another card that has a discover ability on it.
Correct. Yeah, and there are. I guess there aren't. I don't think there are any discover cards in this original batch of cards I'm showing you. But basically, yeah, it'll be another card. Like discover is a keyword. It'll show up like when you play this card, discover, or when this trigger happens, discover, or whatever.
I guess it's less discount like keyword and more like cutie mark, which is I don't know what the cutie mark like what to cutie mark a card, right? Is a
right. I mean, I guess. Okay, maybe this is getting a little bit into the weeds, but I always assumed that that a keyword was basically just shorthand for game text.
Yeah, I guess that would work in this sense. But yeah, if you have a lot of magic restored cards, seems pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Get like 7 of them. Does this work? Okay, I'm kind of getting into the rules.
Oh, that's. I mean, we're still testing. Please.
Does this work with Lantern? Will they trigger twice?
Okay. Let me see here. So Magic Restored says, Lantern says your Magic Restored abilities trigger twice, right?
If one of your other Magic Restored abilities would trigger, it triggers twice instead. So my assumption is yes.
That sounds like that's how that works then, yes. That's a lot of Magic Restored.
That is a lot of Magic Restored. What are they gonna do with all of that Magic Restored?
I mean, if you've got 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 magic counters coming into play at once, I guess there's one fairly straightforward answer.
Yes. It's the Bright House. But I think you can do other things as well. Like just having magic restored cards is nice. get some AT from Pip.
Mm-hmm.
Put something like replace some problems. What other tools we have? We have a few like things that do stuff with magic counters. You have
Yeah.
obviously you have Spike, just shuffle half of their board.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and I believe the set also has like a lot of
This set has stuff to do with magic counters too. Yeah.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, and orange is a color that doesn't do a whole lot of magic counter stuff at the moment. So I think it's nice to have a nice little push for the color to do some of that.
Yeah.
Yep. And I guess, as I said, I'll give you little tidbits of story with each card. I mentioned dragon magic. Yeah, that's the artifact searching. That's one thing that dragons can do in this world is they can create gemstones with their magic.
How did we evolve from creating gemstones to eating them?
I mean, that's no evolution. That's I'm just enabling dragon agriculture here.
Oh, I see. Oh, that makes so much sense. So that's actually how they survived.
Yeah, or at least how they were able to build sort of proper society.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Sorry.
how hard do you think it is to get this legend effect?
So I'm gonna have to remind myself whether you're allowed to exhaust characters for it. I think it might only be friends, which does make this pretty hard. Uh, like 8 orange is if you're playing mono orange, you guys should
It's like 3 to 4 friends.
3 to 4 friends probably. Like I don't think it is like incredibly hard, but it is definitely something your deck needs to try to do. Like you need to have a significant amount of orange in your deck.
Yeah. It makes sense.
Yeah. Like the intention for, as I say, for these legend effects is that in theory they're all going to be quite strong. You do need to put some effort into being able to get them. And yeah, your deck is probably going to be built around triggering one or possibly two of them. And that will be sort of your primary strategy, I guess.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I guess for cards that discover, you can exhaust themselves as well. So that helps a little bit if you run
Usually, yeah.
an adjacent discover card. But yeah.
But yeah, this is something that we're gonna test quite a bit and make sure it's in that right window of not like super easy but not impossible. Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay. White friend next. A unicorn. Pensive prose, majority leader. 3 cost, 4 white requirement, 3 power. Prepared. And it says, if you have more non-token characters at this card's problem than any opponent, opponents can't confront this card's problem. So, the idea here, I mean, the subtitle of this card kind of says it all. That basically, maybe I should have mentioned, there's a fair amount of like government stuff that happens in the story.
Of course.
Yeah. And yeah,
Anyone who knows you for longer than 5 minutes.
fair enough. And yeah, that's what this guy is. Pensive Prose is like the leader of the majority party in the Equestrian Senate, and so if he's got more friends on his side than you, then he's gonna block you. Basically, how it is. So yeah, pretty. The intention is this is a pretty pretty solid card for white control. Um, you
Oh
do
yeah.
you do need to put some work into it. Unicorn tokens won't do the job. Thank goodness.
That was my summoning bell.
um, but yeah, park him at a problem with enough backup, and I mean, the opponent has removal options, of course, but potential
Yeah.
to be a significant blocker. In some sense, it's a troublemaker who is a friend. Think about it, I guess.
Yes. With a condition instead of like challenging stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's interesting. It's preventing confronts is a very strong control ability.
Yeah. Yeah. I suppose a thought just occurred to me as a way to possibly tone this one down. So we'll test it. If this ends up being too strong, yeah, I just had an idea for how we could make it a bit better.
Well, it might be fine, is this?
Yeah.
I also really like prepared here because it will like unlikely to come up unless it's behind the troublemaker. And if it's behind the troublemaker, then the second ability doesn't do much. So it's kind of like compensates for the fact that troublemakers also do similar thing.
Sure. And a deck that runs this card probably has got troublemakers in it too, so.
Probably. Although I think it will try to put this card somewhere where troublemaker isn't.
Actually, yeah. I mean, if you're playing like a farm deck or something, and you want to have a troublemaker but not a troublemaker over at a problem so you can confront it. Yeah. Well, if you're playing a farm deck, you need to have friends, though. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not... yeah, I was thinking just control. But yeah, I mean, clearly the next step is to have voting. So whoever outvotes the other person confronts the problem. Twilight Imperium style. I think I made this joke when I was...
I think you did when we were talking about the cards, yes.
I was like, wait, this sounds familiar.
Okay. So, next up, YOLO Friend. This is one of my favorites from the whole set, and I mean, the title, maybe.
It's Celestia.
It's Celestia. But it's also like, this is one of those cards where I know what the card art is going to be already. Like, I can visualize it in my head, specifically. Princess Celestia, Magical Meditation. 3 cost, 1 requirement, 3 power. Calming 3, big number. And players can't pay more or less than a card's cost to play that card. So, taxes, gone. But discounts, gone. We all must play fair.
But like, my deck is Texas.
Better have something to do about this card. Notably, so this is something that I made sure to check. Chrysalis Main technically is not a tax the way that this card wants it to be.
Yeah.
It is unaffected by this.
Yeah, you just pay extra to not get the card cancelled.
Yeah. But like all the other white stuff of, you must pay X more to play the card, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So yeah. Yeah, this is it is kind of, I guess, a special ability of Celestia's in the story. But yeah, like basically, whenever she needs to um, cast some really complicated magic, she just like meditates for a bit, and what basically happens is that her magic kind of surrounds her in kind of this golden shell, and it essentially isolates her from sensory input, right? No light, no sound, no wind, no nothing. She's just silent, alone, and able to concentrate. Um, and that's what I was trying to capture here.
Yeah, makes sense. I noticing something about the text here. I wonder if there's a way to clarify it that like it cancels out the text instead of making you unable to play the card.
Oh, that's a fair point. Sure.
Because right now this could be interpreted as an okay, I can't pay more, but I have to pay more, so
Right.
I cannot play. But it's yeah. I guess again to stress like nothing is set in stone yet, right? Everything is gonna might change at any point. This is in not necessarily early stages of development, but like there's some refining that might be done, right?
Yeah. Yeah. We'll, I guess, talk about that more when we get to sort of the roadmap section. But yeah, everything that you see here should be considered subject to change.
Yes, all of these should be Trixie.
So, GP is here, and he's given us a possible way to template that.
Nice.
Thanks.
There is a few cards in the set that's like the templating has to be specific and it's hard to figure out because the effect is unique.
Yeah. There's this, I mean, like, again, it's one of those things where, at the very least, I strive to make it obvious to a layperson what the intent of the card is supposed to be, and then, like, yeah, we can figure out the exact templating to make it properly work later.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, thank you, Grandfathers, for being here. Oh, pressure increased. To show off some cool cards. But also, yeah, you came in just in time for another one of my favorite cards in the set. You know what was a great main once upon a time?
What was a great main? Derpy Mare. That's not what she's called. Muffin Mare.
Oh,
Trixie.
Muffin Mare. Yes. Well, I was thinking of Octavia, actually.
That was also a good main.
Yeah. White main that said whenever a friend enters play did it have to be out of problem? I think it had to be out of problem, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Enters play out of problem, another friend there of your choice gets +2 power. Wouldn't it be great if everybody got to have Octavia in their deck?
Well, I mean, they did.
Well, okay, fair. But I meant if you didn't have to be have to play it as your
adventure. Oh, that too.
Fair, yeah. So here we go. Fire drop, lead fiddler. 1 cost, 2 pink and 2 white. 1 pink and white power. Earth pony. When a friend enters play, if this card has at least 1 magic counter on it, give that friend +2 power till the end of the turn. You gotta play this. You gotta be in pink and white, and you gotta put a magic counter on it. Once you do, you are effectively playing an Octavia
deck. In some ways better than Octavia because you don't need to have a friend already there to benefit from this. Maybe this card should scale with the amount of magic counters on it. +2 for each magic counter? Would that be too crazy?
That would be too crazy, I think. Like,
I don't know.
If you're able to put one magic counter on it, you can put 2 magic counters on.
Yeah, but you're not putting them somewhere else.
Like +4 power is already like.
Yeah, like I don't think you would put more than 3 counters in this case because it'll be just like you don't. Why?
Yeah, like you're getting to the point where every friend you play just confronts the problem you play it at. Barring no colors and such, but yeah.
Yeah, GP points out that it is also worse in some cases because you cannot choose which friend the power goes to.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Unlike
so
with Octavia.
You have a little bit less ability to do like color shenanigans where you need a certain amount of purple, so you boost up your purple friend, and while you're playing, white cards or whatever, right? Yeah.
Maybe this card should be more flexible. Maybe you just let it give +2 to any friend that's the problem. Then it is like Octavia, but it is more flexible because you don't you can choose itself as well.
I mean, we'll see. I think this has a chance to be pretty good on its own, and I don't want to reprint exactly Octavia. So
it's not exactly Octavia; it says Fire Drop.
Yeah. We can keep those ideas in mind if things but if this card's a little underwhelming in testing, but given that it's only a 1-drop, I think it'd be relatively straightforward to integrate into an aggro turn, and then
but they also the magic counter requirement is fairly big. You can't just play this card.
Fair point. Yeah. And I guess if the second card you play is a magic restored friend, it's not going to get triggered, right? Because you can't order it properly. Yeah.
No. I think you can. I think because if goes after the comma, it works. If the condition part is not the trigger, it's the resolution.
Okay. I'm going to pretend that was intentional.
So, yeah, magic restored and this would trigger, and then you put the magic counter, and then the check is done.
Nice.
It was totally intentional, so we don't need
to don't need to care about that at all. Okay. So, from the aggro help, let's pivot over to a little bit of a nice niche tech card for control decks. Don't you just hate Hasty Friends?
Oh, I hate Hasty Friends.
Coming in and messing up your face-offs against your troublemakers or whatever.
Yeah, I thought I removed their friends and then they got more. How is that?
Ain't it so? So, I have another Celestia here to help you. Another government Celestia. Princess Celestia, Senate Parliamentarian, cost 2, 3 requirement in purple and white, 2 power. Friends that enter play after the start of a face-off cannot become involved in that face-off. So, once a face-off starts, they can play Hasty Friends if they want. Maybe they'll get some effects of them, but friends that come after have missed the vote. They cannot enter their votes late. Tough to start with.
Nice. It's not useful against every deck because most decks don't have Hasty Friends, but nice as a sideboard option.
Friends interplay during a face-off, sure.
Yeah, that makes sense. When I read this card at first, I was like, after a start of a face-off is could be entering Entering play after the start of the first face-off is like any point in the game after that face-off.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
But it does specify cannot be involved in that face-off.
yeah, but it's true. This rethinking totally removes that ambiguity, so that's good.
Yeah.
But yeah, nice, straightforward, purple, white. I mean, troublemaker thing, fair amount. I think. I suppose I should maybe mention this set does have a goodly number of hasty friends. One of the mains is like specifically geared around playing hasty stuff. So
Luna?
close. Pluna, actually, yes. So a little bit of anti-hasty tech seemed like a good little shot in the arm for control.
Yeah, it's a nice tool to have when you need it.
Probably a sideboard card most of the time, but worthy to have in your sideboard, hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Alrighty. Next up, a white event. Stasis Field. 0 cost, 3 requirement, 5 power. At immediate speed until the end of the turn, characters cannot be moved.
That's strong.
In certain circumstances, yeah. Your opponent just, or maybe you just DFO'd, and everything's now at home, and then you play this at the start of your opponent's turn. Bit of a nasty play, yeah.
Yeah. They are forced to either play stuff or just skip their turn, essentially. Kind of like board white standstill, I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, basically.
It is much stronger than standstill because it's affects everything for the entire turn. Photo op. I don't remember.
That's no
photo
okay.
op.
I do remember photo op. I remember it costs a lot more than this. It costs like 3, I think.
It costed 1.
Oh,
Yeah, it's fine.
yeah.
I think 0 cost for this card is fine. I mean, maybe at worst, I would make it banish itself. So you can't just do that every turn.
You know what? That's a reasonable point. It's yeah, fair enough. Maybe it should. Well, I mean, yeah, we'll consider this.
Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, it's a good also really fits into a lot of white is the color to do this kind of card.
Yeah. I mean,
like Sunseal, Reliving History, Wink.
White is I guess you put those tax effects in there too. It doesn't. And actually, now I'm realizing that I'm showing off a lot of white cards in this opening thing. Trust me, there are good cards in the other colors too.
Also, Sending is a little more accessible. If you have Spike, you can get around this card.
That's a fair point. Yeah, Sending can still get through it. Yeah.
It'll be cool to have a card that just lets you choose. Whenever you have to move something, you can choose to send it instead. And the other way around. Well, the other way around is probably maybe too much.
Oh yeah. Turning sends into moves is yeah, probably. All right. Now, gonna swing the pendulum back a little bit. Give aggro a little bit more help. In the next
aggro?
one.
Nobody plays aggro.
Give them some dilemmas again. Nice yellow dilemma here. Lost Language. 2 cost, 3 requirement, 4 flip, 4 for you, 6 for the opponent. Magic Restored. and you meet the confront requirements of your problems with magic counters on them. So,
Th-
oh, go ahead.
This seems strong.
Seems pretty good. Easy enough. You just put the magic counter on this, and you're confronting it. Um, or you put it, if you intend to be able to confront this, you put it on your other problem that maybe you're missing a color for, or whatever. Yeah, this is very likely to be a very strong turn when you play this one. Especially
Yeah.
if you've got problems in your deck that just happen to have magic counters on them in general, because then you just play this and it's a DFO, so long as there's no troublemakers around.
Yeah. And like, if you didn't put any work into confronting any of the problems, you'll probably lose the face-off, which is also a very common theme for yellow.
Fair point. Yep. Yep.
So yeah, very interesting card. Seems strong. I wonder if you could do like play a lot of dilemmas at once, like in that one other deck, and confront all of them for a lot of points.
I mean, this does cost 2. It's a fair amount of AT, and you're not.
Oh yeah, you cannot do like crazy stuff like that deck because like it was Fluttershy that was enabling this, and we don't have that Fluttershy anymore.
Yeah. Although that is a fair point that like you can just play this, plonk it down, and it's now just generating a point for you every turn, as long as it stays in play.
Yeah. Well, I presume opponent would not let it stay in play because they actually, if you put a magic counter on this, you cannot prevent yourself from confronting it. No more chicken games. So they just need to confront this problem and it will go away.
That's a good point. Yeah. But yeah. There are dilemmas for not all the colors. There's a yellow one and a blue one and a white one in the set.
No love for purple.
Well, actually, I've got some love for purple coming right up.
Nice segue.
Nectar of Aster. Cost 3, 3 purple requirement. Plays on one of your friends. At immediate speed, exhaust this card to put a magic counter on the attached friend if it currently has no magic counters on it. Then attach this card to another one of your friends. I got a little bit off of the lore train, but one of I talked a little bit about the focus on magic in the stories. One of them is herbal magic and potions and such. And
alchemy?
Yeah, basically. And Aster Nectar is one of the really, really old, really, really basic herbal remedies. Basically, you mix that up, and it's sort of a magic accelerant. Primarily used by unicorns to cheat on tests. Yes. But also used for real useful purposes sometimes.
Like putting magic counters on your friends.
Sure. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yes, I was wondering for a second what the MR in your comment was there. Magic Restored Horseshoe. Yes, that makes sense. Yes.
I thought it was like Mr. Horseshoe. I was like, who is Mr. Horseshoe?
Well, yeah. For like at first, I thought that you were making like a reference to a magic card, but then, yeah, mid-range horseshoe. No, Magic Restored Horseshoe. Ah, sure. There we go.
Yeah, I guess it is kind of like that.
Yeah, because it bounces around. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think it's neat. Like you cannot. Well, you kind of can, but can't keep stacking magic counters on one friend. You have to bounce them around a little bit.
Mm-hmm. And you do need to be using up the magic counters if you're gonna keep getting value out of
Yeah,
this card.
yeah. So yeah, it is neat. Just like you promised, a lot of magic counter stuff.
Yep. Yep.
Like 3 cards out of 10 had magic counter interaction. Sorry, 4 cards. 4 cards.
I guess that's true, isn't it?
So 40% of the cards. So if we extrapolate that,
not quite. But I mean, yeah, like I said, magic counters are they're super fun. I know. Well, yeah, that there are gonna be more. There's gonna be more magic counter stuff coming in official sets, of course. But I don't know. I couldn't resist the chance to just throw stuff at the wall and come up with more cool stuff to do with them.
Yeah, I mean, magic counter is like essentially a new resource system in this game, just like AT is in a way, right? It's just something you don't gain passively.
Mm-hmm.
But it is like a thing that you spend, and it is kind of universal. But it is attached to each character. Like combo points in World of Warcraft, I guess, for Rogue. I don't know if you've ever played WoW, but
I mean, I can guess based on Hearthstone mechanics, basically. So I think I know essentially what you're talking about.
I think combo in Hearthstone works very differently from how it operates in WoW. But essentially, in WoW, when you like use abilities on enemies, you accumulate combo points on those enemies, and you can spend those combo points on those enemies to use some other abilities against them, spending abilities. And I guess magic counters are kind of similar, but I don't know. There's some parallel here.
I mean, sure, I understand. Yeah, the concept of using them as sort of an independent, spendable resource.
Yeah.
Okay. Next up is probably my favorite flavor that I came up with in the whole set. It's not actually my favorite one because you came up with a better one, but we're not covering that today.
Wait, did I?
Yeah.
But also, this next card is very you card as well.
It is. So, you know what is a great yellow card? That
Trixie.
Queen Haven Ultra Rare. Good old. Or sorry, Queen Novo, not Queen Haven. Getting my G's mixed up here. Queen Novo. The one that says you win face-offs that you lose. And so I figure, let's just do that. Here we go. Brazen cheating. 2 yellow, 2 wild for you, 6 wild for the opponent. Bonus 1. The player with the lowest total power wins face-offs. I love it because it enables me to say, well, I have 6 power in the face-off and you have 10, but thanks to brazen cheating, I win.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Just like Queen Noah. Also works with troublemakers.
Also does work with troublemakers.
Play Grogger that exhausts for AT.
And then, and then, yeah. Okay, sorry. Okay, exact test from Queen Novo minus, sure. I did not copy it exactly. I didn't reference it. I just went based on memory.
I mean, the difference is just power total versus total power. That's a word swap.
Okay.
Her wording is the player with the lowest power total wins face-offs involving this card.
Okay.
So it's positional difference at best.
Power total. Well, still may as well make it the same.
Yeah. It's the same effect, so complaining should be the same.
So yeah. Beyond that, pretty good, straight up aggro problem. As mentioned, great if your opponent's playing troublemakers. Great if you're.
I don't know if this is a aggro problem necessarily. Like again, troublemakers.
Sure. I mean, it's
Farm. I don't know. A lot of applications.
okay. You make a fair point about the farm application. Sure.
Also, in control, you're kind of disincentivizing your opponent to confront this problem if you don't have a lot of power there. So there's that too, you know?
Hmm.
Have it with that yellow dilemma as well. Put a magic counter on it.
Right.
Never have any characters anywhere. Okay, GP is about to hit
GP
us
is
with an
about to
oddball thing.
say something. Yes.
But yeah, alright.
Aggro historically has relied on problem face-offs for their points, which is true.
Is this an argument for having bonus 2 on this? I think that would make sense. This will definitely make it more aggro and less control. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Certainly aggro was what I had in mind when I made it. So yeah, perhaps. And it's true, I guess. Yellow problems do tend to be fairly high bonus. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sag, my control problem just went away.
I mean, you've seen the set. You know there are plenty of good control problems in there too.
Yeah, but control yellow problems?
What's the other yellow problem?
Yellow-white control, I'm waiting for you. Bedtime.
Okay, I mean, spoilers, but probably not. Although, okay, one card left. I wanted to throw an ultra rare at it. It's another white card. I apologize. I had
So 30% of the set is white.
I had a good mix of cards, and then I needed to cut it down, and so I just had a little bit more.
GP mentions it's need to see this on a different card type. But like we already have it on a different card type. It's called Quinoa, right? Unless you mean like resource that is global, unlike Quinoa, that could be interesting, yeah.
Yeah, I don't have any blue stuff, unfortunately. Or like, well, except for the pink white thing. Yeah.
Did you cut any of the blue cards?
I thought.
We can insert one more slide
Yeah,
in here.
let me see if I can find a blue card that I can throw in here. No,
I don't think TM would be as interesting. I think it's more interesting to have a global effect that works with TMs rather than just one TM that wins losing face-offs. Because then you kind of expand like all of the low power TMs, especially the ones that exhaust. There's not like now extra meaning, like you have options that are interesting rather than just one TM that does this.
Oh, I guess actually, yeah, there was a blue card that I was considering throwing in. Yeah. There we go.
Oh, okay. I'm talking to GP. Like if the effect is global with that TM, now you need to have two TMs to really benefit from it. But I guess I don't know. I like it on a resource more, I think. Also, if it's on a TM, then it's not as useful for problem face-offs unless they play the dilemma and that TM is still in play. Actually, I would love to see this effect on the main character. Build your entire deck over losing face-offs.
I mean, people did that with Novo already.
Yeah, but if it's on the main character, that's like, and it's a global effect. But I think, yeah, it will be a little too much because it will be completely uninteractable.
Yeah. Let me just catch up here. These others will make it.
Just discussing what other cards.
Yeah, I know. Troublemaker is interesting. Anyway, yeah, I did manage to find a blue card. It was one of the cards that I had cut from my list of 15 to start with. So here we go.
So the blue card that you find is a purple card.
Well, listen.
Okay, we're at Meticulous Talks here, so of course it's gonna be purple.
Yeah. By color location. Cost 2, 3 requirement, blue and purple. Magic restored. Play to your home. Immediate, exhaust this card and remove a magic counter from it to search your deck for a Troublemaker and put it into play face up. Zeroed out. And then when you win a Troublemaker face off by at least 5 power, put a magic counter on this card. So, I mean, I can definitely say I was thinking of farm when I built the card. As you win your Troublemaker face off by at least 5, and then you get yourself another thing to cycle out.
Yeah. Do you think it'll be easier for farm to get 2 Rex?
It's certainly not. It's certainly a little bit unusual. You would imagine probably. I mean, blue is normally what I would think of as being the main color, and then that leaves you playing like a rushed makeover or or like a ray of hope. I mean, there are plenty of ways to do it. Yeah,
that's fair. That works. But yeah, it's cool if you are winning face off by quite a bit. You just get another Troublemaker. Resolves the common problem farm has with running out of steam.
And yeah, you can put the magic counter somewhere else if you want. Well, the first one. The next ones have to go on this card. I suppose you could pull drop them onto some other resource that wants magic counters to be on there. Anyway. Yeah, it's a pretty straightforward farm accelerant.
Yeah. But I mean, of course, could also use it for control. Or farm can use it for control by putting Troublemakers into opponent's face right before they confront.
At immediate speed, yes sir.
It's also any Troublemaker, but thankfully they don't get the villain out of this.
That is true. Has to go into play face up.
Yeah.
Alright. Yeah, sorry. I guess maybe not the most complicated, cool card, but
no, I like it.
Yeah. They don't all have to be Johnny cards. Although, segue. Although, is this even really a Johnny card? I don't know. Yeah. Our white ultra rare. Quill. Dishonest Scrivener. Cost 2, 2 requirement, 2 white power. Immediate speed, exhaust this card to make an opponent pay +1 for the next card this turn. When an opponent pays more to play a card than its cost, put a tax counter on this card. At main phase speed, remove any number of tax counters from this card to pay 1 less to play a card for each counter removed. Basically, the taxes go to you now.
Taxes become subsidies.
Exactly. Who is this mysterious other that the opponent's paying their taxes to?
The bank.
The bank. Well, guess what? I've got a man at the bank now.
Yeah, it's interesting, like actual tax collection. I think every player at some point in the game asked, like, okay, it's taxes, why don't I get them?
Yep.
I'm the one taxing.
Is unique. We're not going to have, or at least not without a lot of work, shenanigans of taxes getting multiplied.
Yeah,
1 to 1.
but
Uh,
even then, it's the counters on the card instead of like raw AT, so it is vulnerable, very interactable.
yeah.
But yeah,
Um,
I think for the same reason as the other card we saw, doesn't work with Chrysalis, unfortunately.
yes.
Or maybe fortunately, maybe it will be too strong then. Because yeah, so it doesn't work with Chrysalis, but works with stuff like Pip and Wink
Hmm.
and a lot of other taxes.
And does just have a light little tax on itself for 1 card per opposing turn.
Yes,
Um,
and also if they have a big tax, you still get only one counter.
correct. Yes. So just one, yeah, 1 tax per
Yeah, it's
thing they've got
transaction
taxed.
fees.
Correct. Yes. Exactly. You could, or perhaps it's like a skimming off the top rather than just taking the whole thing.
Mm. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. This is one of those interesting ones where, like I mentioned, how with that yellow Celestia, I already know exactly what that card's going to look like. For this card, I have no idea.
Hopefully, it
um,
will look like a quill.
well, I mean, it's a unicorn. Um,
Yeah.
like, this is a character who never shows up in the story. Like the only time that he's mentioned basically is that Celestia like basically steals his job by proving that he was stealing money from the person who was employing him. And he never shows up, never says anything. But I knew that I wanted this card, like a sort of tax type card. It was like, oh yeah, there's that accountant guy who was stealing money from the guy. He would make a perfect flavor choice. One of the very few bottom up designs in the set.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. So, those are the revealed cards. Let's talk a little bit about roadmaps. Uh, so, as it stands right now, the set is at least there are designs in place for all of the cards 161 total cards. Uh, Hithrock and I have been over them. Some of them require minor revisions. Some of them, although only a handful, require major revisions.
Some
We
of them we don't know if they require revisions or not.
we'll see. Yeah, we are going to be actively testing it over the course of the next few weeks or so, the holiday season, basically. And if all goes well with that, then we're going to spend another few weeks, or I am going to spend another few weeks doing a lot of printing and cutting so that at Vancouver, I can have some real cards. And, well, I mean, proxies probably, but real cards. No, as real as they're going to get, I guess. And you might be able to, maybe we'll do a limited or a sealed or something.
Well, sealed is limited.
Well, yeah. And play with them. And then over the course of the next potentially while, I'll be working on the art and getting that all sewn up and prettied up. So that, again, as mentioned, at least at some point in the future, I'm gonna have a proper artifact to look at. So I guess what that means is, if all goes to plan, Vancouver is where you'd be able to see the whole thing. I guess presumably, on the assumption that our sealed pools include every card in the set, I suppose.
Well, yeah. Depends on how many players there are.
Yeah, at the very least, the whole thing will be set by that point. I guess I can have like a demo version of every card or something. So yeah, that is what we have to look forward to. Yeah. Thank you all very much for comments and I guess encouragement through this process. It's been a long way. Frankly, there's a lot of effort still to go, but it's all sort of logistics and refinement and testing and such. Which I don't want to say that's not going to be hard, but the we're through the kind of core creativity process of having to actually come up with the card designs, which is certainly a big milestone.
Yeah. Also, as much as I appreciate you saying we, it's mostly you.
As I said, you contributed my favorite flavor of the set so far.
I don't even remember what it is.
And I'll tell you as soon as we're off the air. All right, well, otherwise, I think we're all done here.
Yeah. When is the next stream? That is a good question.
That is a good question. It's not going to be 2 weeks from now. I'll tell you that much.
Presumably, it will be 11th, right before Vancouver. I think that's a good checkpoint.
I guess so. Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah. Be 1 day before I disappear from the internet for a week.
Right. yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, let's plan for that. In the meantime, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to everyone.
And a Happy New Year.
New Year, indeed. Yeah, January is. I mean, between this and Vancouver, and Invitational is going to start like right after Vancouver. So 2025 is going to be. It's going to be a lot to get started with. But looking forward to it.
Yeah.
So yeah. Thank you everyone for 2024. Thank you, Hithrock, for everything that you've done for us. And I guess until next year, I've been Cursor Course.
Only until next year? And I'm Hithrock.
See you in 2025.
Bye.